Officer, can you just let me know if you can see it?
My computer screen is not working right now. Okay, it's working now.
Okay. Can you see the top portion right here?
Yes.
Okay. Officer, can you walk us through what that form says and what you tell DUI suspects?
So the very first line, I'm now requesting that you submit to a lawful test of your breath for the purpose of determining its alcohol.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled, it's in evidence.
Your Honor, just sustain an objection.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you can start over with what you were saying just now.
So the first line, I'm now requesting that you submit to a lawful test of your breath for the purpose of determining its alcohol content. Will you take the test? That is the general question that we ask when we want somebody to perform the breathalyzer to determine their blood alcohol content.
And officer, when you asked the defendant initially if he would take a breath test, what did he do?
He just started yelling at me.
Okay. So once he starts yelling at you, what do you read next?
So then you read the refusal portion of it, basically just explaining the repercussions for refusing the breath test.
Can you read to us exactly the consequences that you informed the defendant of?
Do you want me to read just the whole paragraph?
You can read the first part of it.
Okay, if you refuse to take the test I have requested of you, your driving privilege will be suspended for a period of 1 year for a first refusal, or 18 months if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you have been previously fined under statute 327.35215 for refusing to submit to a lawful test of your breath, urine, or blood.
Thank you. So when you read this consequence of losing his driving privileges for up to a year, how did the defendant react to that?
He continued to yell at me.
Okay. How many times did you ask him to take a breath test?
I read the implied consent warning at least twice to him.
Okay. So for both times you attempted to read the implied consent form, did he continue to yell at you for each time?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, the state's going to republish State's Exhibit 4 of the body. Your Honor, objection just for the standing objection, we're adding crossing.
Okay. Overruled.
And for the record, the state's publishing at 15 minutes, 4 seconds. Can you see it?
My computer screen is not working again. Okay, now it's back.
Hey, listen to nothing. No, you're going from 1 to 2 to 3. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing till I speak to a lawyer. I ain't doing nothing till I talk to a lawyer. I ain't doing nothing till I talk to a lawyer. I ain't doing nothing till I talk to a lawyer. I ain't doing nothing till I talk to a lawyer. You got your fan on? I ain't doing nothing till I talk to a lawyer. Don't touch me. I'm in the car. You got your car on CNC. I'm in the car. So that means you didn't smell shit. That means you're
I just stopped at 16 minutes and 48 seconds. Officer, as you're reading the implied consent, did the defendant ask you about Miranda rights?
Did he ask me about Miranda?
Did he think that you were reading Miranda rights instead of applied consent form?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for a comment of right to remain silent as Miranda.
Overruled.
Officer, when we watched that body-worn camera, do you recall the defendant saying something to you about reading Miranda rights rather than implied consent form?
He kept saying, I'm not saying anything until I talk to a lawyer.
Okay.
That's bullshit. Now record that. And that's right, because you're a liar. You're a liar. And you want to punish you a liar. Because I want to smoke weed.
For the record, I stopped at 17 minutes and 18 seconds. Officer, we can hear you in the video say you're going to process it as a refusal. Can you explain to the jury what you mean by that?
So he wouldn't acknowledge me reading him implied consent. That's a refusal. So the repercussions that I read to you about what happens if you refuse the breath test, that is going to be what happens to the defendant.
I don't smoke no drugs, I don't do no drugs, none of that. I tell you where I was coming from, I traveled one, and she said she smelled weed. She a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. I can't talk about my hand, though. I can't talk about my hand. I can't talk about my hand. You a liar. I'm gonna prove that. And we're gonna fire you. We're gonna fire you because you're a liar. You're a liar. I don't want you to score you because you're a liar. You said you're a bad law. That's right. That's right. You do what you gotta do. This is what messing with the wrong person. Messing with the wrong person. One at a time, you messing with the wrong person.
For the record, I just stopped at 18 minutes and 47 seconds. Officer, did we just hear the defendant say he was leaving that goddamn club?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Would you like me to play it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll ask it again, officer. Did the defendant say to you guys, I'll tell you where I was going, I was leaving that goddamn club?
Yes.
I apologize, I just keep coming back to the microphone. For the record, I'm starting at 18 minutes and 46 seconds. For the record. That question.
I couldn't hear what he said in response.
Okay. At any point, to your understanding, did the defendant ever change his mind from when you read him implied consent and agreed to a breath test?
No.
Have a seat and bring this on here,
For the record, I stopped at 26 minutes and 54 seconds. Officer, we just saw a conversation between you and Officer Oliver about the liquor bottle that was found in the vehicle. At that time, did she ever mention anything to you about the bottle being opened?
No.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Okay, I'll ask the question again. Did she ever say anything to you about the bottle being opened?
No.
Could you explain to us your thought process or why you have made a mistake saying it was open in your report?
Yes, I listed it in my report because I didn't want to look like I was hiding anything, and due to the open container of alcohol, the Tervis that was in the center console, I had just assumed that the vodka was open. You could hear me in my body camera say, when we were searching the car, when Officer Oliver found that bottle, I said, oh, that's probably what was in the cup in the center console.
So would you agree that it was just an honest mistake?
Yes.
Okay. Additionally, officer, would you consider that bottle of alcohol to be big evidence in your DUI investigation?
No.
What was the big evidence in your investigation?
My observations of the defendant.
Is observing signs of impairment on a DUI suspect in your training and experience the biggest part in any DUI investigation?
Yes.
Are an individual's admissions or confessions to drinking alcohol big in your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Are a defendant's admissions to being at a bar big in your investigation?
Yes.
So, to summarize then, would you agree that the signs of impairment, admissions to drinking alcohol, and admissions to being at a bar, those are your main points of deciding whether to arrest someone?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. And for the record, I'm going to start playing the video again. For the record, I stopped at 28 minutes and 34 seconds. Officer, can you tell us what you're reading at this point?
I'm reading the implied consent warning again.
You mentioned to the defendant that you have to read that. Can you explain to the jury why you have to read that?
It's part of the DUI. DUIs are very procedural. It's just one of the procedural things that we have to read during them.
Okay. And for the record, I'm starting the video again.
I don't want to say nothing to you. I don't want to say nothing to you because you know three different scenarios that y'all make this y'all stop me. I don't want to talk to you about nothing. Nothing. I don't want to talk about lawyer. I don't want to talk to you about nothing. I don't want to do sir. Close the door, sir. I'm asking you, please close the door. Are you recording this? Are you recording this? When I don't want to talk about nothing. I don't want to talk about nothing. I don't want to talk to you about nothing. I don't want to talk to you about nothing. You're trying to sugarcoat it. No, ain't no previous nothing. I am telling you this. I don't want to talk to you about nothing, but what you said to me is that you stopped me because your lights is off. And then she said she stopped me because she smelled weed. So therefore, y'all both are liars. I don't want to talk to them one of y'all. I don't care about none of that. You can say whatever you want to say. I don't understand none of what you're saying. I don't want to know what you're saying. And I am co-handed with what you're saying. I have no lie to what you're saying. And you listen Alright, cause I don't smoke, I don't do no drugs, and what you said that please stop me cause it's still weed. My name is Jonathan Valentino, I'm born and raised in Tampa, Florida. No, cause you don't go now. I'm born and raised the other day, Tampa, Florida, 55 years old, and you are alive. And you niggas are trying to cover for your point. And I don't give a damn saying I'm off the dope. You just talk, I'm trying to talk to me until I just say him. That's not mine.
That was the end of the first video. Officer, at the very end you asked, are you still live? Can you tell us why you turned your body-worn camera off at that point?
Yes, so if we're ever discussing like tactics or the case, we'll sometimes shut our body cameras off to have those discussions.
Is that pursuant to department policy?
Yes.
Okay. When are you required to have your body-worn camera off or on?
During the course of an investigation.
Would that include like primarily interacting with somebody?
Yes.
At that point, was your investigation over?
Yes.
So after the defendant's placed in your vehicle, read implied consent and such, do you transport him to the jail?
Yes.
Do you recall if your body-worn camera was on during that interaction?
I did activate it during that.
Could you recall if you could hear the defendant in the back seat talking?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, the state's going to play the second video in Exhibit 4.
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes, you may. State, you may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. I apologize, Your Honor, my charger just fell out and stuff.
We've been at it for a couple hours. I think this might be a good time to take a comfort break. So let's take a 15-minute break and we will be back at 10 after 10.